The story unravels like a web of secrets, betrayal, and long-buried guilt, weaving together the lives of Tatiana, Ilya, Igor, who everyone thought was dead, Rita, Maxim, and others whose fates are intertwined by lies that refuse to stay buried. Each character is a walking shadow of their past mistakes, haunted by choices they wish they could undo but can't escape. Beneath their polished facades lie dark truths, broken promises, hidden betrayals, and wounds that never healed. And then, one day, everything changes when Tatiana receives an impossible letter, a message from Igor, written 17 years after his supposed death. The moment she holds that crumpled piece of paper in her trembling hands, her world tilts on its axis. The handwriting is unmistakably his, jagged and deliberate, as if mocking her with its familiarity. "Look in our cove," it reads, cryptic yet chillingly clear. It refers to a restaurant they used to frequent in their youth, a place frozen in time, where a model sailboat sits proudly in the center of the dining hall. That this isn't just nostalgia, it's a taunt, a dare to dig deeper into the wreckage of their shared history. As Tatiana stares at those words, panic claws at her chest. What does it mean? Is Igor alive? Or worse, is someone playing a cruel game with her mind? When she confides in Ilya, her husband, tension crackles between them like lightning before a storm. His reaction is defensive, almost panicked, fueling her suspicions further. Why won't he meet her eyes? Why does he dismiss the letter as nonsense when she knows he feels the same unease gnawing at him? Their marriage, already fragile, begins to fracture under the weight of unanswered questions. Meanwhile, whispers ripple through their circle of acquaintances. Rita watches silently from the sidelines, her motives unclear. Maxim prowls around, desperate for answers about Igor's disappearance. And Vadim looms over them all, a figure of power whose presence feels more menacing than reassuring. Every move they make seems to tighten the noose around their necks. As the truth inches closer to the surface, alliances shift, tempers flare, and old wounds reopen. The letter becomes a catalyst, tearing apart the illusion of peace they've clung to for so long. No one is safe. Everyone has something to lose or hide. And as Tatiana steps into the restaurant, heart pounding and breath shallow, she realizes this journey will lead her not only to Igor's secrets, but also to the darkest corners of her own soul. As the days passed, the weight of Igor's letter grew heavier in Tatiana's mind. The cryptic message, "Look in her cove," was no longer just a nostalgic reference to their youth, but a chilling directive that seemed to mock her with its ambiguity. Driven by desperation and curiosity, she decided to visit the old restaurant where they had once shared laughter and dreams. It was there, amidst faded memories and dusty relics, that she found herself staring at the model sailboat, a silent sentinel guarding secrets from another time. Her pulse quickened as she realized this wasn't merely an object. It was a vault holding something far more sinister. Maxim joined her, his skepticism barely masking his own unease. Together, they dismantled the ship, prying open its delicate hull until they unearthed what appeared to be an ancient cassette tape. The air around them thickened with tension as Maxim inserted the fragile relic into a battered player. At first, static crackled through the speakers. Then came fragments of voices' broken sentences, muffled exclamations, and final one clear phrase, "We all betrayed you." The words hit like a thunderclap, reverberating through the room and leaving both Tatiana and Maxim paralyzed. Who was speaking? Was it Igor himself or someone else delivering his final verdict? The recording abruptly cut off, the tape chewed up by the machine before revealing anything further. But those few haunting words were enough to ignite chaos. Betrayed? Who exactly had betrayed him? And how many people were involved? Tatiana felt her world spinning out of control. She couldn't shake the feeling that Igor might still be alive, watching silently from the shadows, orchestrating every move like a puppet master pulling strings. Each clue only deepened the mystery, pushing her closer to unraveling truths she wasn't sure she could bear. Meanwhile, whispers spread among the others. Ilya became increasingly agitated, snapping at anyone who dared mention Igor's name. His behavior fueled suspicion, especially when Tatiana noticed subtle changes in his demeanor, furtive glances over his shoulder, late-night phone calls whispered behind closed doors. Even Rita, usually composed, began acting strangely, avoiding direct questions about Igor while hinting at knowledge she refused to share. Everyone seemed entangled in a web of guilt, fear, and paranoia, each step forward uncovering new layers of deception. And yet, for all the uncertainty, one thing became painfully clear. Igor's presence loomed larger than ever, even in death, or perhaps because of it. If he truly was alive, his silence spoke volumes. Every unexplained detail pointed toward a grand design, a plan meticulously crafted for revenge. As Tatiana held the damaged cassette in trembling hands, she knew the answers lay within reach, but at what cost? With each revelation, the stakes grew higher, forcing her to confront not only Igor's ghost, but also the darkest corners of her own past. The tangled web of betrayal and deceit grew thicker as the truth about Ilya's involvement in Igor's downfall began to unravel. Evidence surfaced, fragments of conversations, documents, and witness testimonies, all pointing to a sinister alliance between Ilya and a high-ranking city official. It was this collusion that led to the deliberate bankruptcy of Igor's company, leaving him ruined and ultimately presumed dead. Maxim, despite being stripped of his badge for allegedly torturing Valia into giving false testimony, refused to let go of the case. His relentless pursuit of justice brought him face to face with Vadim, a shadowy figure whose influence loomed over every corner of the investigation. Each step Maxim took toward uncovering the truth only deepened the danger he faced, as Vadim wielded his power like a blade, ready to strike anyone who dared challenge him. Meanwhile, Tatiana found herself caught in an emotional storm. As Ilya's wife, she had always believed in their life together, but now cracks began to form in the foundation of their marriage. Conversations became interrogations, silences screamed louder than words, and every glance from Ilya felt like a dagger aimed at her trust. The more she learned about his role in Igor's ruin, the harder it became to reconcile the man she loved with the monster he might truly be. Her heart tore between loyalty to her family and her moral obligation to seek justice for Igor. "How could you do this?" she whispered one night, her voice trembling with anger and despair. Ilya's response was cold, almost mechanical. "You wouldn't understand." Those 4 words shattered what little remained of their bond. In another corner of this labyrinth of secrets, Rita maneuvered carefully, her motives shrouded in mystery. She approached Aleftina, Ilya's frail and aging mother, under the guise of kindness, offering companionship and assistance. But beneath her polite smiles lay something darker, an agenda hidden even from those closest to her. One afternoon, while helping Aleftina organize old jewelry, Rita casually mentioned Igor's name. Aleftina froze, her hands shaking as she dropped a diamond necklace onto the floor. "Don't speak his name," she hissed, her eyes wide with fear. Rita pressed on, probing gently yet persistently, until Aleftina collapsed into sobs. "They destroyed him," she muttered, clutching her chest. "And they'll destroy us too if we're not careful." Rita watched silently, storing away every word like ammunition for a battle yet to come. With each revelation, tensions escalated, pushing everyone closer to the edge. For Tatyani, the choice between love and justice felt like choosing between drowning or burning alive. For Maxim, the quest for truth became a fight for survival against forces far greater than himself. And for Rita, the game of manipulation grew riskier with each move as alliances shifted and enemies multiplied. The stage was set for an explosive confrontation, one where no one would emerge unscathed. Tatiana's hands trembled as she clutched the letter from Igor, its cryptic message gnawing at her mind. The words, "Look in our cove," echoed like a riddle meant to unravel hidden truths. Driven by desperation and curiosity, she convinced Maxime to accompany her to the old restaurant where they had spent countless evenings in their youth. The once vibrant establishment now stood as a relic of decay, its faded charm masking secrets long buried. Together, they scoured every inch of the place, focusing on the model sailboat, a centerpiece that seemed almost mocking in its innocence. But no matter how hard they searched, there was nothing tangible to find. Just as frustration began to set in, Tatiana caught sight of a shadow moving outside the window. A man in a dark coat lingered near their car, his face obscured but his intentions unmistakable. "We're being watched," she whispered, her voice trembling with unease. Maxime's jaw tightened. Paranoia gripped them both. Whoever this stranger was, he wasn't just passing by, he was sent. Meanwhile, Vadim loomed over everyone like a storm cloud, his presence suffocating yet impossible to ignore. He pulled strings behind closed doors, orchestrating events with ruthless precision to ensure Igor's case remained unsolved. When rumors spread about Tatiana's investigation, Vadim intervened swiftly, issuing veiled threats and planting doubt among those involved. His methods were brutal bribery, intimidation, even violence, but he stopped at nothing to protect the web of lies he had spun around Igor's disappearance. For him, the stakes weren't just personal, they were existential. If Igor's truth came to light, it would destroy everything Vadim had built. The tension reached a boiling point when Natalia, a key witness whose fragmented memories hinted at crucial evidence, died under mysterious circumstances. Her body was found near Ilya's property, broken and lifeless, her final moments shrouded in unanswered questions. In her pocket lay a rusted key, an enigmatic artifact that seemed to hold the answers everyone sought. Whispers spread like wildfire. What door did it unlock? Who had killed Natalia to silence her? The key became a symbol of danger, coveted by all but understood by none. Its very existence forced alliances to shift and enemies to multiply, each character willing to go to extremes to claim it for themselves. Amidst this chaos, Katya and Artyom's relationship added fuel to the fire. Their love, innocent yet defiant, infuriated both families. Ilya, consumed by rage and fear of scandal, confronted Katya directly. "If you so much as look at my family again," he snarled, "I'll make sure your boyfriend spends the next decade behind bars." His threat hung heavy in the air, a chilling reminder of the lengths he would go to maintain control. Rita, Katya's mother, tried to intervene, pleading with Ilya to see reason, but her efforts only deepened the rift between them. Love turned into war, trust into betrayal, and hope into despair. As the battle lines were drawn, one thing became clear: no one would emerge unscathed. The generational divide between the older and younger characters became a powder keg, ready to explode at any moment. Katya and Artyom, caught in the crossfire of their parents' unresolved grudges and buried secrets, found themselves trapped in a suffocating web of expectations and control. Ilya's threats against Artyom, his chilling, promised to send him to prison if Katya didn't sever ties with the family, only fueled their defiance. "They can't control us," Katya whispered to Artyom one night, her voice trembling but resolute. Yet beneath her bold words lay fear. She knew her mother, Rita, carried secrets that could destroy them all. Meanwhile, Tatiana's growing obsession with uncovering Igor's truth cast a shadow over Artyom's life. He felt torn between supporting his mother's quest for justice and protecting himself from the escalating chaos around him. The pressure mounted as both young lovers realized they were pawns in a much larger game one, where every move risked unraveling decades of lies. As the battle between truth and deception intensified, the cracks in everyone's facades widened. Ilya, once confident in his ability to suppress Igor's case, now sweated under the weight of exposure. Every new clue unearthed by Tatiana or Maxim seemed to strip away another layer of his carefully constructed alibi. Vadim, ever the puppet master, worked tirelessly behind the scenes to bury the past. But even his iron grip began to falter when whispers of Igor's survival surfaced. If he's alive, Vadim muttered to himself late one evening, pacing his dimly lit office, then everything we've built is a house of cards. His paranoia grew, leading him to take increasingly drastic measures, bribing witnesses, tampering with evidence, and silencing anyone who dared speak out. Yet, no matter how hard he tried, the truth refused to stay buried. Like water seeping through cracks, it surfaced in unexpected places: the rusted key found on Natalia's body, the cryptic drawing sent to various recipients, and the damaged cassette tape that hinted at betrayal. At the heart of the story lay the clash between justice and power, a struggle embodied by Maxim and Vadim. Maxim, driven by guilt over his expulsion from the police force, vowed to expose the corruption surrounding Igor's downfall. Armed with fragments of evidence and sheer determination, he pursued leads despite Vadim's relentless attempts to block him. For Vadim, maintaining the status quo was paramount. He saw Maxim as an irritant, a loose thread threatening to unravel the entire fabric of his empire. Their confrontations grew more intense, culminating in heated exchanges where threats and truths hung heavy in the air. "You're playing with forces beyond your comprehension," Vadim warned during one such encounter, his voice low but laced with venom. Maxim met his gaze unflinchingly. "And you're running out of time." Caught in this maelstrom were Tatiana and those closest to her. Each revelation brought them closer to the edge, forcing them to confront not only the sins of the past, but also their own complicity in perpetuating the lies. As alliances shifted and betrayals multiplied, the cost of seeking justice became clearer and far deadlier. The question of Igor's survival loomed larger with each passing day, casting a shadow over everyone involved. Was he truly alive, orchestrating this elaborate game from the shadows? Or was his supposed reappearance merely a cruel illusion designed to torment those who wronged him? Tatiana couldn't shake the feeling that Igor was watching her every move, pulling strings like a ghost haunting their shared past. The cryptic letter and damaged cassette tape only deepened the mystery. If Igor was behind these clues, what was his endgame? Revenge seemed inevitable. His betrayal at the hands of Ilya, Vadim, and others had left scars too deep to ignore. Yet doubts lingered. Could someone else be impersonating Igor, sowing chaos for their own gain? Every unanswered question felt like another thread unraveling the fragile fabric of reality. Meanwhile, Ilya's role in Igor's downfall became increasingly difficult to conceal. Evidence mounted against him, implicating not just his business dealings, but also his collusion with corrupt city officials. Maxim, relentless in his pursuit of justice, uncovered documents linking Ilya to fraudulent land transfers that bankrupted Igor's company. "You think you can bury this?" Maxim spat during one heated confrontation, his voice dripping with disdain. Ilya's response, a mix of denial and thinly veiled panic, only fueled suspicions. But escaping legal consequences wouldn't come easily. With Vadim pulling strings behind the scenes, Ilya walked a tightrope between freedom and ruin. His paranoia grew as whispers of Igor's potential revenge spread among those closest to him. Would he face punishment for his crimes, or would power protect him once again? Caught in the crossfire were Katya and Artyom, whose love story bore the weight of generational hatred. Their relationship, already strained by family disapproval, now faced even greater challenges. Ilya's threats against Artyom escalated, fueled by rage and fear of scandal. "If she comes near us again," he snarled, pointing at Katya, "he'll regret it." Meanwhile, Rita's hidden motives added another layer of tension. Her cryptic conversations with Aleftina hinted at knowledge far beyond her role as a housekeeper. Was she protecting Katya, or manipulating events to serve her own agenda? For Katya and Artyom, finding happiness meant defying their family's expectations and risking everything they held dear. As the storm clouds gathered, alliances shifted and betrayals multiplied. Each revelation brought them closer to the truth, but farther from peace. Could Katya and Artyom rise above the wreckage of their parents' sins? Or would the cycle of vengeance consume them all? The weight of betrayal hung heavy over every character, a suffocating shroud woven from the threads of past mistakes. For Tatiana, the realization that her husband Ilya had played a role in Igor's downfall was like staring into an abyss dark, endless and consuming. Each memory of their life together now felt tainted, as though she had built her happiness on shifting sands destined to collapse. Maxim, too, carried his own burden of guilt. His expulsion from the police force haunted him daily, fueling his relentless drive to uncover the truth, no matter the cost. "We can't undo what's been done," he muttered one night, pacing nervously outside the old restaurant where they'd searched for answers. "But we can't expose it." Yet, even as he spoke those words, danger lurked around every corner. Vadim's shadow loomed larger than ever, his threats growing more sinister with each passing day. It wasn't just about silencing them anymore, it was about destroying anyone who dared challenge. The web of lies protecting those in power. For the younger generation, the sins of the past cast long shadows. Katya and Artyom found themselves entangled in a war they hadn't started but were forced to fight. Their love became collateral damage in a feud fueled by decades of resentment and deceit. "Why does everyone hate us so much?" Katya cried during one heated argument with her mother Rita. "Because your father is out there somewhere, watching, waiting," Rita snapped back, her voice trembling with barely contained rage. The revelation hit Katya like a punch to the gut, her very existence tied to betrayal, abandonment, and secrets buried too deep to unearth. Meanwhile, Artyom faced the wrath of Ilya, whose paranoia turned violent when he threatened to send Artyom to prison if Katya didn't sever ties with his family. Love became a battlefield, trust a luxury neither could afford. As Tatiana delved deeper into Igor's mystery, the ghosts of the past refused to stay buried. Every clue unearthed brought fresh pain. Natalia's death, the rusted key clutched in her cold hand, the cryptic drawings sent to strangers, all pointed toward a conspiracy far greater than anyone imagined. But the pursuit came at a price. Sleepless nights, fractured relationships, and constant fear define their lives now. "Do you think we'll survive this?" Tatiana asked Maxim one evening, her voice breaking under the strain. He hesitated before answering, his silence speaking volumes. They both knew the stakes. Their quest for justice might demand sacrifices they weren't prepared to make. Yet turning back was no longer an option. The past had claws, and it wouldn't let go until it bled them dry.